and logging onto Instagram now. Okay. Just writing the title. Bear with, we're buffering, keep smiling. Multiple devices. Musical interlude. Okay. So I'm now, am I live? Oh, not quite. We are now live on my Instagram. So
Are you?
I am. So let me, how do I invite somebody? Hello everyone on Facebook and Instagram and on YouTube. Okay. So if you go onto my profile, Seani. Okay. Why is it? Come on. Yep. Brilliant. It's working.
I hit the request button. Oh, you've accepted.
I've accepted.
All these devices.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hooray!
Hello, all the devices.
Hello, every single device. Oh, that was just me going muting myself. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you through the headphones.
Brilliant. I can hear you. This is all the fun and games that is multiple devices.
Trouble Lucy action.
Okay, where is my... Hello, everybody. Hello, people. Hello. Slight technical interlude, I promise. This is all happening. And let me share this to my group.
If you can hear something, see us on Insta, type something in. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Oh my god. Funny tech stuff. Okay.
Yay.
Brilliant.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Victoria. Hello. So lovely to see some people here. Hello, everybody. So we are live on multiple devices. Hello, Harriet. Hello, everybody on the interwebs. Hello, everybody on Facebook. Hello, everybody on Instagram. Hello, everybody on whoever is joining us live, or if you're watching the recording, hello. You are very, very welcome here. So let's get this party started. We are from multiple devices, so we're going to be looking at different cameras. Sometimes I'll be looking at my webcam, Seani as well. So let's get this party started. So if you're not familiar with me already, my name is Lucy Rowett. I'm a certified sex coach. Oh, can you not hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, with my, my earbuds. So I'm a certified sex coach and sexologist for women and people with vulvas, helping them to let go of shame and embrace pleasure to have empowered and juicy relationships. And I'm really, really excited to introduce a really wonderful friend and colleague, Mr. Seani Love. So if you haven't met him or heard of him already, he's an award-winning sex worker and pioneer in the fields of conscious kink and also in sex and conscious sexuality. I'm afraid I'm not going to do him enough justice for him to introduce himself, so I'll get him to introduce himself in a minute. But I really love his work. I love him both as a friend and as a colleague, and especially when we're talking about kink and BDSM, I often reference his work, especially for people who are not familiar with kink and BDSM and are a little bit intimidated by it. And he's also a really good role model for me and for many people in being an advocate and an ally for sex workers, talking about sex work in a really positive and talking about sex work in a positive and empowering way. There are many narratives about sex work and myths about sex work, and even though Seani is a cisgendered man, he is wonderful at speaking up as an advocate and an ally for sex workers, as he is a sex worker himself. So, Seani, please introduce yourself in a much more eloquent way than I have introduced.
Thank you, Lucy, and it's lovely to be here and to see some of your people. That's quite an introduction. Yeah, so yeah, I work in the field of sexuality. I do many different things, including teaching and private sessions, online courses, pre-recorded as well as live. I've done a lot of sex work and a lot of workshops, and yeah, generally work in the field of sexuality. You look confused because your Zoom has frozen. Do you know that?
There we go. Let's basically my internet sometime. There we go. Hello to everybody. Oh dear.
Should I keep talking?
Keep going, keep going. Come on, computer. Keep going. Sorry, that's my thing. My internet is a little bit temperamental, so please keep going.
Yeah, I'll take over and hopefully you'll be able to say some things here. I can see the Instagram chat comments, but I can't see the Facebook chat comments. I've been working in the field of sexuality for 12 years. I accidentally stumbled upon BDSM and kink can be a healing practice about 12 years ago with one lover I had. And after that point, I learned everything I could about kink and tantra, neo tantra, trauma therapy, sexuality, and sort of put it all together because what this thing that I'm quite compelled towards, this kink, this sort of shadow sexuality, being a set of healing practices. Yeah, I just felt like this is driving me forward. I must know about it. I've found a lot of personal healing for myself in it, and so it's made it my career. Slowly made it my career into helping others embrace with it. And that's the nutshell version.
That's in a nutshell. It's oh.
Hi Sarah.
Hi Sarah. Brilliant. There we go. It's something that obviously because I first met Seani, I can't remember when I first met you, but I know and I remember when I did my first workshop with you, which was in September 2016 in Warsaw, Poland, and it was in Conscious Kink. And, you know, even though I trained as a sexologist and I thought of myself as very open-minded and non-judgmental, for me, I didn't really think of myself as kinky. It's like, you know, I can appreciate it. You know, if you do you, it's all fine. Not really my thing. I don't do pain very well. I still don't do pain very well. I didn't like the idea of power dynamics. Latex was not my thing. Being restrained didn't really look sexy or feel sexy to me. And I could appreciate it. So when I did my first SAR, which is a sexual attitude reassessment and structuring, I could feel that what they use in polyamory, what's the word? Compersion. It was like, if it gets you off, that's wonderful. I don't understand it myself. And I remember that one of my friends, we practiced flogging, and he's a lovely person, but he did way too hard. And I'm thinking, why do people find this enjoyable? I do not find pain enjoyable. And so I went into the Conscious Kink workshop with an open mind and slightly skeptical. Something that really changed it for me was, Seani, when we were talking about kink and BDSM as a healing tool and embracing the shadow eros, embracing the shadow self. That's something that I've had to really learn in my own journey from sexual healing from Christianity and faith deconstruction, in healing my own relationship with sexuality. And something around using kink as a healing tool, not as just hitting people and getting off on pain, that for me was the turning point. I remember I think it was a weekend workshop. And at first I was thinking, yeah, I can appreciate it. And I remember it was during one of the exercises when we were experimenting with impact play, which to people who aren't very familiar with it, it can involve striking or hitting, but it's done in a very controlled and measured way. And I remember I was doing an exercise with a really good friend, and I was in a partnered exercise, and something just flipped for me. I remember when you were talking about impact play, Seani, for me, it was when you said that it's a really wonderful way of getting into your body. It's really cathartic. It's a way of feeling your power. And I was like, oh, I can see now. I can see why. I remember during that impact play exercise, something within me just flipped. And I'd love to speak more about how kink can be a healing tool it's not just about, you know, quote unquote gratification. There's a lot of misconceptions that kink and BDSM is repeating past childhood trauma, or it's just about wanting to hurt people but having it within some sort of safe container. I'd love to hear it from you, how you define kink and BDSM as a healing tool.
Sure. I just want to preempt that, or preface that with the idea that even if it is for sexual gratification, that's still beautiful and welcome, because pleasure on its own is fundamentally healing. So if you do enjoy good spanking, you're not having a bigger healing intention. If you do enjoy good spanking, that in itself is worthwhile to learn how to do safely and learn how to practice safely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the whole impact play, there's many aspects of kink, many aspects of BDSM. You mentioned some of them, some of the things you weren't originally turned on by, but this is like my average night in, power exchange and restraints and impact play. And to tune into impact play, you know, it can be really healing for many different reasons, such as bringing someone into their body. If someone's like daydreaming or disassociating or always vague and distant, the right kind of impact play can really help them inhabit their body, right? Make them really present. So that's like really powerful in itself. Some people can use impact play for the reverse. You know, if someone's really in the body, but they want to go into a trance, onto a journey, into a place called subspace. And the right kind of impact play can really help someone go into subspace, which is like a beautiful trancy place. And that's the place where, I mean, subspace is a gateway to sort of sorts of emotional and intellectual, deep sort of psychic reprogramming. So that's a nice place to go into subspace and then affirmations put in. I'm just hearing myself double. So I'm just gonna like.
It's a bit discombobulating doing this on two different devices with different audio. We're still learning this ourselves, but it's just because I wanted more people to be able to see this.
Yeah.
But I really, this is everything that you said in my first Conscious Kink workshop, and I've got a comment here from Eliza saying she had a very similar experience in her Conscious Kink workshop with you, which is there's so many wonderful benefits of it that you may not think of. And you know, when I said sexual gratification, interestingly, I said that almost with I'm aware that I said that with a bit of a sideline, and actually pleasure and sexual gratification is a means to an end in itself. It's a really valid and powerful thing. We live in a very sex negative and pleasure phobic society, as though doing something just for pleasure is somehow, there must be some sort of logical, practical reason for this. And actually pleasure is a means and end in and of itself.
Yeah, embrace pleasure, embrace pleasure. If what gets you off is a bit unusual, a bit weird, then embrace it. Find a safe and healthy way to do it. That's of my advice. I think, as you said you were brought up with some extreme Christian views, and most of us are being brought up in quite a, we're not healthy. It's not a very healthy sexuality for most of society because of extreme patriarchy and monogamy and like heterosexuality, like sort of forced upon us. So many other reasons. Inherently, we don't get much chance to explore our own sexuality. So it's no surprise that many of us are not adjusted sexually when we get to sexual age. So our psyche processes things in different ways. And it's no surprise that so many of our fantasies come out about domination and control and surrender and what happened if I did this or wore that or was this gender, or embracing it all can be really beautiful and really powerful.
Yeah.
So you're asking about healing.
Yes.
I mentioned a little bit about coming into the body or releasing the body. You mentioned cathartic experience. I think cathartic experience is really powerful. If someone says, I need a cathartic experience, so the person who's receiving it is the driving force. And the way to do it is to like start slowly and sort of give them the right kind of impact play, usually around the chest or the back of the chest, the back of the heart. For me, it's really powerful. Like I was brought up as a boy in Sydney, and we were told not to cry, but if I want to have a cathartic experience and release some emotion, the right kind of impact play on my chest can often like be months and months worth of therapy. Although my therapist is amazing, but the right kind of impact play can just sort of release so much emotion. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan and advocate of therapy as well. And yet there is something extra, something different that we can get from engaging in kink and BDSM, or in a way that is really, I'm cautious to use the word healthy, because how people will talk about healthy in terms of sexuality can be very biased. A lot of when we talk about healthy sexuality, that's often used in the context of pathology, and often kink and BDSM is seen as an unhealthy expression. So I'm very mindful about the language I'm using. And yet at the same time, I believe when the intentions are there, when safety is created, kink and BDSM can be, and for many people who do practice kink and BDSM will absolutely agree, it is so cathartic, it can be so healing, so bonding, a way of accessing the parts of yourselves that you have long suppressed or sat on or thought of as bad or deviant or wrong. And for me, that was one of the gateways. And for a lot of people, because as you said, none of us come from a sex affirming or pleasure affirming cultural society. We will come from a cisgendered heteronormative society in which there is good sex and bad sex, good fantasies and bad fantasies, a right and good and healthy way to experience and express sexuality, and a bad, wrong, dirty, bad, blah. And it's, this binary affects all of us, when actually the human sexual subconscious is infinite. Human sexual expression is infinite. And actually, if you're somebody who's worked with shadow work before in a non-sexual context, exploring your sexual shadow can be a really powerful and cathartic experience, because I see it as reclaiming a lost part of yourself that you have tried to just push away, just sit on, just get rid of it. It's not there. Something wrong with me. Just try and get it out of me. And actually, when we embrace it, there can be so much power and light and healing that comes from that. I think you agree with that, Seani.
Yeah, completely embracing those different parts of ourselves that we've had to suppress or hide away. And often our emotion or our voice or certain ideas or certain patterns. I like to take quite a Jungian approach to talk about archetypes, but helping people find their voice through different kink exercises. As I say, I found my tears through the right impact play, and other people finding tears or expressing anger for the first time in a sort of safe environment,
Yeah.
like a feminine rage session. This is like really healing when someone's accessing this for the first time. It's so beautiful, so cathartic, and so like allow someone to feel a sense of completeness or wholeness that they don't get to feel very often. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate.
Yeah. I definitely felt that, and it's something I've learned to really love and embrace as well, which is embracing my own rage, embracing my own power. As for me, as somebody who came from a very love and light background, first with evangelical Christianity, and then kind of going more into the woo spiritual sphere, for me to embrace my power, for me to embrace my aggression, for me to embrace some of my more shadowy aspects. Because when we're talking about shadowy aspects, especially around power and domination, for me to actually embrace that in a way where there was a set container, it brought out a completely different part of me. Every single, nobody is pure love and light. We all have darkness. We all have parts of ourselves that we don't want to acknowledge. But if we can bring them out and if we can play with them, actually we can become more integrated as human beings, rather than no, I'm just a love and light being. I'm a divine, loving, lovely being. I'm not a horrible person at all, but it will end up leaking out in other ways. So I've got a comment here from Georgia Spot. She says, do people who might be in monogamous relationships and or no BDSM experience attend sessions with Seani for healing purposes?
The ideal situation, if you're in a monogamous situation, is to speak to your partner about visiting me, so everything's fully informed consent, and that's just much safer. And often partners can't take their own partners on these healing journeys because you're going to see some real darkness inside you. So if your partner's holding you as you express hate you and rage, and if you want to go to those really dark places, some partners aren't able to hold their own partners in those spaces. So a practitioner can usually take you into those places. So some people do come, even though if in a monogamous partnership, with the partnership's knowledge. But you can email me or DM me and get some details about those possibilities if you wish to.
Yeah. It's whenever anybody approaches a sexuality professional and you're in a monogamous relationship or even in a non-monogamous relationship, it's really important that if you can keep that communication clear with your partner. Obviously there are some instances where it may not be safe, but often in my experience, if you're not able to express something to your partner or share something with your partner, there are some issues around communication and trust there that may need to be examined or not. It's something else to consider. I'd also
If there's a
would love
reason, I'll just say if there's a reason that you don't speak to your partner first, speak to me and we can talk about different possibilities about that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'd also love to hear, what are some really common myths you've heard around kink and BDSM that you have to keep dispelling over and over again?
Yeah, the whole control freak thing is quite, this person's a control freak, and that's why the only way they can get off is through kink and BDSM, and I think that's quite a harmful myth. Certainly control and power exchange can be really powerful parts of kink, but don't assume that. Never assume someone who's kinky was violated or sexually assaulted or abused in some way when they were a child. That's completely not accurate at all. It could be that, but never assume that, because there's many other reasons kink can be powerful and beautiful for pleasure or for healing or for intimacy. On the other hand, we all come from a society where we do have our traumas and our wounds, so these often do come out in the form of kink and BDSM. But yeah, never make those assumptions. I think that's quite common.
Yeah. I'd also love to hear some common misconceptions about sex work as well, which kind of ties into that, because there's a lot of misconceptions around sex work in that you were abused as a child, in that you had traumatic experiences, and that you have no boundaries. And in your work as a sex worker and advocate for sex positivity and conscious kink, I'd love to hear what misconceptions you hear that you have to constantly dispel as well.
Sure. I just want to preface that I'm quite a privileged person in the sex industry because of gender and skin color and yeah, sexual preferences. So I don't get a lot of the negativity or the stigmas that a lot of other people do get. So I'm not going to speak on behalf of anyone else. However, in the field of sexuality, there are certain assumptions that people are abused or they are forced into promiscuity, that they're unable to make emotional connections and those kind of things. And yeah, these are all fallacies because a lot of my sex worker colleagues have really stable relationships. They're really happy. Most in the UK at least, most sex workers are single mothers just trying to feed their children rather than the image that you might get in the media of sort of drug-addled people that just live with expectations. Mostly single mothers trying to feed their kids. So yeah, and I'm going to type in a website. I'll do that for you. If you search for the new sex worker project, NSWP, I think .org, people can find a whole lot of resources about becoming allies to sex workers and finding out some of the troubles that sex workers get. And they have sex worker organizations in all different countries around the world. There's one here in England, another one in Ireland, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just typing that in the comments on Facebook, and I'll put this in the caption for YouTube as well. On Facebook, I have not typed the full website completely, just because Facebook can be a little bit funny around linking to sexuality websites. I mean, there's so many things we can unpick whenever we speak together, Seani, and this is why I wanted to introduce you to my audience and my followers, just because there's so much richness and depth to what you can bring. Especially, you know, there's a misconception that if you know, people who are into kink and BDSM are people who are a little bit extra. you know, that if you are a happily married mum, a happily married woman married to a man for 40 years, or just a happily married woman or a happily married man to somebody of the opposite sex, that it's not really your thing. That, you know, kink is something that people who are a bit weird do. Kink is something that's a little bit extra. For me, I just want to have a few more orgasms, which kind of also ties into the other work that you do, and another part of your work, which is really educating men to become amazing lovers for women. So I've kind of segued into this. Can you speak more into that, Seani?
Sure, sure. Parallel to me learning about King, who's one of my favorite teachers, Seani Love in Canberra. I was also doing sexuality workshops, such as Bdsm, and learning everything I could about sexuality. Some of it woo, like neo tantra, but and sex magic, but also some of it just like really anatomy and stuff. Like, what does the bum do? Why is my G spot in my bum? You know, these things. Like, why aren't we taught these things? Um, and when so I had both of these knowledges going on at once, both of these different threads going on at once. And then there was this lockdown about a year and a half ago where I was like, how can I best make use of this time? And I created this course, Level Up, which was like, I mean, it was shortly after the Me Too movement, and a lot of women were finding their voice about how many times their boundaries had been crossed. A lot of people were very shocked by the extent of it, and a lot of men were like, "Goodness, have I done this? Have I crossed someone's boundaries unwillingly, unknowingly? Have I not asked for consent enough? Has my lovers not been able to communicate consent?" There's a whole lot of reckoning going on. So I put this course together, really helping men especially, find these different aspects, find their ability to ask for consent, and to be able to communicate about consent in real time without breaking the flow of an erotic encounter. So to ask, can I touch your hand? Can I hold your hand? People feel that by asking those questions, they're taking, just by asking that question, it's going to break the flow of the connection.
Yeah.
If I ask you can consent or bring in words, the act of asking is going to sort of break the connection between us. And that's really incorrect. It's just like learning how to ask is learning how to ask and stay in the flow, and learning how to communicate in real time, and learning how to, when you hear a no, you can't hold my hand, how that's not like a total rejection of that person as an individual, and how to handle rejection really gracefully. And I think that's a big thing that men have been learning in the last year and a half, and the course sort of focuses on that. The focus on, if you say no to me, how to not be devastated, and how to not, therefore, how to be graceful, because a lot of men, when they hear these no's, turn it around, and a lot of women would have reported being attacked verbally or emotionally when they give a no. So women are scared to say no. So little things like this have been really important. Well, these are my pet topic. I could just rant for a long time about this, so stop me if you need to. But
No,
learning about graceful communication, embodiment, emotional agility, and that's me. Yeah, some of these things.
it's whenever I talk about sex and whenever I interview people who talk about sex, I say that in a nutshell, we are deconstructing what it means to have sex, what sex means, how we have sex, what pleasure is, what it is. It's like we're like a deconstructed coffee or a deconstructed sandwich. We're taking everything apart and we're examining, what does this mean to me? How do we actually do it? Because I say we all, as we all come from a very heteronormative culture, every single one of us does, we tend to follow scripts. They're called, what I learned, they're called socio-sexual scripts. In that, especially if we are heterosexual and cisgendered, we tend to follow certain scripts when we come to have sex with our partners. But we know that this fails everybody. And as you said, Seani, especially after the big movement that was Me Too, which brought up all of these stories and all of this confusion for women and for people socialized as women, it was finally, I can speak up about all the things that have happened. Finally realizing actually what happened to me wasn't my fault. Actually, this was not okay. And for a lot of men and people socialized as men, it brought up this confusion of, well, oh my God, I think I have crossed people's boundaries. How do I not do this? And when I've worked with male clients, there's been this real fear around, I want to get it right. I want to satisfy my partner. I want to be there for my partner, but I'm really scared. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to do something that ends up hurting them or hurting her. And for many of them, they're brave enough to say, actually, I have done non-consensual things in the past. I don't want to do this again. And, Me Too was so important in giving women these voices. And also Me Too has happened for men as well, in giving the voice to what happens in non-consent and sexual assault. And then and now what? How do we build a world and a society? How do we rebuild where people can have amazing sexual connections that actually feel good on both sides? And, as none of us came from a sex positive or sex affirming society, we've learned all of these ways in which sex is bad. Don't get an STI. Don't get pregnant. Don't wear your skirt too short. Don't do this. But none of us have really learned, well, how do we actually have pleasurable and good sex? And what actually makes pleasurable and good sex in the first place? Because it definitely isn't being pounded I'm trying not to swear, being pounded like a human sock for 5 minutes. That's definitely not good sex for anybody of any gender. So, Sean, I'd love to hear more about the Level Up course, and also how you teach men or anybody to be a better lover for women or people with vulvas.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with everything you said there. I think becoming a better lover got to start off with learning how to communicate, how to ask, how to say no, how to say yes, how to say maybe, because maybe is really beautiful. Maybe it's such a world, like an opening thing. Maybe it's like a chance to dance with someone. Like maybe we'll kiss. Just hold that thought if you're watching this. Maybe we'll kiss. And it's like if you're not sure yet, it just allows so much movement and flow. It doesn't have to be like a yes or a no, but that dance in itself is sort of beautiful. And the communication and consent, um, finding ways to, as I say, not be hurt by rejections. Anatomy and learning about the body. It's like the often sexual scripts is if I'm touching someone's, the old days, if you're touching someone's genitals, like normally if it's a pussy, if you're not, people are touching it as fast as they can, trying to make it wet as fast as possible, trying to open it as fast as possible so they can put something inside it. And then if it's a cock, and I could say put cock and pussy on your channel if I can. If it's a cock, people are playing with it, trying to make it hard as fast as possible so they can do something with it. But if we
I'm
just
making
change those
exaggerated
scripts,
hand movements here.
yeah, you're acting them out.
Like rubbing the DJ booth really, really fast.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really feel sexy for anybody, to be honest.
No. But yeah, just changing some of those narratives, like going to holding, going to cupping, and spending hours instead of minutes by just playing with genitals and playing with bodies. The whole body's an erogenous zone, not rushing towards an orgasm, but like spreading the time out. Learning about emotions, so there's more presence for your partner. So you're not just like daydreaming or focus on genitals, but being present for their eyes and their heart and their breath and all these different things. And I think one of the important things for cisgender men, especially, is around cock mastery. Actually, I think the cock is a powerful thing, and I think there's so much you can do with it. Learning how simple things like making friends with condoms. A lot of men don't take the time to do that. When I was young, I used to walk around with one condom in my wallet and hope for the best. If I was getting laid, that condom would be amazing. But now I wouldn't travel around without a box of condoms because, one sex scene which might last several hours, you might take it on and off several times, spreading it out. Learning how to not ejaculate or having more ejaculatory choice is really amazing. Some people take it to like the neo tantra or the tantra extremes and they never want to ejaculate. I'm not advocating for that, but I am advocating for like just having more choice around when you do and when you don't. And all these different building blocks go together in that course Level Up, as well as in the trainings that I do for men.
I love this. I love talking about. Hello, everyone. I love talking about what I say. I love the conversations around cock mastery. And as I say that word, as I'm broadcasting to both Instagram and Facebook, I'm crossing my fingers really hard hoping that they don't shut us down, because unfortunately Facebook and Instagram, I love them for many things, but Mark Zuckerberg is not, and his business is not very sex friendly. So every time we say the words that are X-rated, I'm kind of crossing my fingers going, please, I want to say cock without being shut down. But the idea of cock mastery is really important for cisgendered men, which is your penis and your cock isn't just a piece of meat that you want to get hard and not. It's a really amazing tool that you can use and you can make friends with and do amazing things with. And it's something that I believe and I would love all cisgendered men and people with penises to really learn to love and embrace. And I really love what you teach about ejaculation choice, because as you said, in the neo-tantric and conscious sexuality world, there can be a lot of you know, ejaculating is just as bad as smoking a cigarette or something. I mean, I'm exaggerating there, but there's sort of a lot of anti-ejaculate stuff there, especially with the no-fap movement. And actually, ejaculation can be wonderful. It's choosing when to, rather than feeling that you don't have a choice or you're past the point of no control. So as Seani said, he's actually created 2 really amazing courses, which I just happen to be having on my website as well. So I'm a really proud affiliate for Seani Love's courses, and which means that if you purchase the courses through my own affiliate link, you not only get a discount for yourself, but I get a small commission as well. And I'm very particular about who I would endorse as an affiliate. I only want to promote people who I really believe in and who I really resonate with. Otherwise, it's just not fair on anyone. So, Seani, tell us about your 2 courses, which is Getting Conscious with Kink and Level Up, which are both digital courses which you can access from anywhere in the world and on your own time.
Yeah, so thank you. These are both filmed over the months of lockdown. First of all was Level Up, and it's like, how can we help men, cisgender straight men especially, be better at sex, and thus everyone in the world benefits, because the men will have more emotions and better sex and better communication and can set the boundaries. And yeah, so Level Up, how to be a better lover of women specifically. I filled it with a bunch of colleagues, some very amazing people. I think at least one of them's watching this. Yeah, hello again. Um, it's been so good to just share these skills and get this essential knowledge out into the world to sort of really change people's lives and their outlook on sexuality. There's no sort of global conversation around it. And there certainly wasn't any when I was going to school. You know, I was taught, if she says no, you stop. But that's only like a tiny, small part of the solution about yes and no and maybe and dancing. So Level Up covers all this: cock mastery, embodiment, rejection. Also, that sort of predator energy, which can be really beautiful when it's brought out in a healthy way. Do you enjoy, to people who are watching this, some of you will enjoy when that man, when he's in his wildness and his rah and his lust. And if that comes out in an unhealthy way, it's destructive, but to tune into that and make it really healthy. So that's all part of Level Up. Ding, ding,
It's
ding.
why a lot of women or cisgendered or heterosexual women often talk about loving the idea of being dominated. And often it can feel like something quite taboo, especially if you are or you identify as a feminist or you have feminist beliefs, or maybe you come from a conscious or even a religious space. There's this unspoken forbidden thing that actually I really want to be dominated. I want a man to throw me up against the wall and take me and ravish me, and I don't have to do anything, I just have to lie back. And there is so much beauty within that that we can absolutely embrace that. And for men, we can embrace that when you learn how to channel that in a healthy way, in a really clean, I say clean and direct way, rather than it leaking out in other ways.
Big time, big time. I'm sure you've all heard that people have these darker fantasies about control and being taken, and it's beautiful to learn how to do it safely. About 2/3 of the people who've done that course identify as cisgender men, and the rest is a mixed bag, because a lot of other people want to learn some of these skills around genital control and anatomy and consent and boundaries. And the other course I filmed more recently, it's Getting Conscious with Kink, which is based on my weekend workshop, based on the one you came to in Warsaw all those years ago. Yeah. So
Yay!
I teamed up with some amazing people for that. I'm not sure I should name them now, but they're on the website. We did consent and boundaries, impact play, which we spoke about earlier, power exchange, how to serve and be served, consensual non-consent, which is a little bit darker. We did healing and ritual, because a lot of people want to find healing in kink, and kink has a big sort of healing capabilities. And we also did rituals and archetypes, because I think it's such a great fun to bring that sort of stuff in. Yeah.
Awesome, juicy. So, quick round fire. So, Seani, who is Level Up ideal for, and who is Getting Conscious with Kink ideal for?
Level Up is ideal. I mean, I would love everyone to do both of the courses, of course, but Level Up ideal for men aged between 25 and 60, cisgender straight men, or men who are attracted to women, who feel a bit nervous around sex in this new era, and who just do want to have sex and still want to engage with women. And I think they would benefit the most, as well anyone else. And getting conscious with kink is for people who go, I'm a little bit kinky and I don't know how to get started. Yeah, I'm a little bit kinky, I don't know how to get started. Or explored a little bit of kink, and I know this is the tip of the iceberg, but I want to go much deeper. And so we're doing real scenes in that course. We're in real scenes in the dungeon, the Peacock Parlour, which is in Camden, near where I live, down there, hitting and beating and tying up each other. So it's a little bit, it's not really genitals on display, but other than that, it's a bit like racy in parts. But it's very beautiful to watch us doing real scenes. And a lot of people who watched it said they had emotional responses because it just sort of felt seen or felt like at home for the first time. Yeah.
I'd also say that Getting Conscious with Kink is really ideal for, I say, people who identify as conscious folk. You know, people who come from a spiritual background or do a lot of these practices, or even somebody from a faith background, but has struggled with this idea of, well, I do want to be dominated, or I like this idea, but is it not, is it playing out some sort of unresolved trauma, or is it unspiritual? Is it this? You know, can I be both this really compassionate person who maybe is a healing or helping practitioner, and somebody who's really loving, and I'm a good mother, and I'm a good daughter, I'm a good father, I'm all of these things, I'm a good citizen, and yet I'm really curious, and yet it really turns me on, this idea of being tied up, or it really turns me on, this idea of being flogged. I really recommend that you take this course, because it's a way of demystifying a lot of the preconceptions you may have around kink and BDSM, and what it is and isn't, and how actually we are all a little bit kinky to varying degrees, and how what we think of as kink and BDSM is actually a small droplet of what it really is. And often the terms, you know, vanilla or kinky and BDSM, they're actually a lot more, I don't know, wibbly wobbly, interwoven, merged, more than what we think they are. So I would say that.
Yeah, big time. People who are a bit scared of their own desires, their own fantasies. People are like, is that really me? And
Yeah.
who want to be, who want to feel validated that it is safe and beautiful to explore that course for you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I see this, or this was definitely my own experience personally, and also I see this with women and people I work with, which is the, can I be a good person? You know, can I be a helping or healing practitioner? Can I be a good mum? Can I be a loving person? Can I be everything that I present myself to the world, and yet also have this kind of darker, more racy undercurrent? And my thing is, they are both you. They are all one and the same. This is the full spectrum of you that is a human being. And when you can embrace your darker aspects, the more, say the word sexual aspects, I sound like I'm Miranda Hart. But when you can embrace all of your sauciness, your eros, your darkness, your kinkiness, it actually makes you more of a rounded, integral human being. And that is my own personal and professional experience.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Beautiful sharing.
Awesome. So I will post the link to the courses in the comments on Facebook, on Instagram. If you hit the link in my bio and go to shop, they're on my shop, and in the link below there are the affiliate links where you click on the link where, let me explain this again. There is a link that you hit and there is a promo code there. When you enter the promo code, you get, I think, 20% off the course.
30% off.
30% off.
Juicy Jasmine, so that should be easy to remember.
I should have memorized
and
this.
Your viewers get 30% off. Yes.
I'll put this in the comments and it's in the link in my bio as well. We've got a few more, so please do. You get, is it 30% off, Seani?
Yeah.
I should have memorized this before. You get 30% off the course, and I get a small commission as well because I think he's awesome. We've got a few comments here. Hang on, from Georgia. From Georgia Spot, how can people tap into their fantasies if they don't know what they are or they are really repressed?
That's a really good question. And I think by slowing down is a really good thing to do with sex and sexuality. If you've got a partner, just the next time you're in the bedroom or you go do something sexual, instead of just following the default patterns that you would normally do, take a moment and just say, let's take a few breaths first. And by taking a breath, you're just changing the patterns from the beginning. And it's perfectly valid to experiment, but just by touching your lover's hands or touching them in certain ways, just feel what feels good. Like, do the touches on touch each other's faces and find out what feels good. Break the script. If there's a normal script about penetration, just sort of break that and bring more communication and tell your partner your emotions are welcome. If emotions come up during this touch, allow that. And people if you're on your own and wanting to change and find out more about your fantasies, just change the script. Instead of or like yeah, just change the script and just sort of, again, take a few breaths on your own, touch other parts of your body while you're doing self-pleasuring, just so your whole body can experience the pleasure instead of just your genitals. The little things that you do to break the script make a huge difference. Yeah.
I also add to this that start to practice, start building your want muscles. So I can't remember if I created this. It was practice allowing yourself to want more things. So it can be as simple as, I want to have my back rubbed. I want to have a hot shower. I want to have a warm mug of hot chocolate. And then start building your want muscles. You can explore erotica or exploring other things. It's start giving yourself permission to want more things and to explore things and see what you like and what you don't like. Because as Georgia said, I've had this with female clients as well, where it's like, my partner asks me what I want, I don't know what I want. So this is when you can start. It's sort of like with food. I don't know what food I like, so I'm going to try and see what's on offer and see what I like and what I don't like. And it's continue to give yourself permission to like things and also to not like things. To try things and decide that you really don't like it, but you really like this instead. We also have a comment from Eliza. She said, I don't like the term kink and feel no need to label any aspect of eroticism or sexuality. It's all simply part of the full spectrum of being human. And I agree with that. I agree with that in that it's, kink, vanilla, Bdsm, they're all parts of human sexuality and human sexual expression. So, any final words, Seani?
I won't disagree with Eliza. I think all these words have lots of nuance, and they're worth owning and exploring. If that word puts you off for some reason, then of course then embrace it. It's all eroticism, and it's all beautiful when you do it consciously, safely, consensually. Yeah, I do like the word, so I will keep using it. But if there's other words to use, then that's great. Last thoughts? No, last thoughts would be just spend a few minutes on your own. I would recommend people spending a few minutes on their own, thinking, what do I need from a sex life? What do I need from the next step? What am I not explored? What would enhance my life? Fantasy, some particular act or fantasy or gender partner, or just like not being heartbroken or getting laid in the first place. What are your next steps? And just sort of take a few moments to breathe into what it is and sort of feel how you can achieve that for yourself, because I think eros is powerful and beautiful and really worth embracing.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree. It's something I learned from you, Shawnee, and I've learned from other people, which is simply pause, take a breath, interrupt the script, and see what other possibilities there are in this moment and within your imagination, within your body, with your partner, and allow yourself to open up to completely new and unexpected erotic possibilities. Learning the art of saying yes and learning the art of saying no, but learning the art of I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to like this. I'm allowed to enjoy this. I'm allowed to be into this. I'm allowed to be turned on by this. And it's all okay, as long as it is within a consensual container. So, oh, hi, Scott Benyon as well. So, as we finish this, if you would like to learn more about getting conscious with kink and or learning how men can be an amazing lover for women, I highly recommend hitting the link in my bio or hitting the links below and purchasing his courses. You get 30% off with the promo code Juice and Jasmine. I'll put this all in the comments. They are all courses you can take in your own time, at your own pace, from your home, or if you're traveling anywhere where you have access to Wi-Fi and your device. It's within the privacy of your own space, your own process. And if you want to reach out to Shawnee for more support, do, or reach out to me for more support. I highly recommend purchasing these courses, especially as we're about to enter into August, which is the summer holiday month. Maybe you want to do something for yourself that's for your own pleasure, leisure, and erotic fulfillment. Even if your kids are on holiday right now, take this for yourself and invest and explore in your own erotic fulfillment and excitement. Oh, Georgia has said, thank you so much for this conversation. I'm obsessed with Shawnee after listening to him at the SAR, which is Sexual Attitude Reassessment and Restructuring training last week. Sending much love and will 100% check out his workshops. Have a gorgeous, warm evening. Yeah, it's bloody hot here in the UK. Thanks, Rosie. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Eliza. Thank you for everybody else who has joined us live and or is watching on the recording. Mwah! Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely, hot, cold, warm evening or afternoon or whatever time you're watching this. So,
Thank you, everyone. It's lovely to chat
you.
with you. Drop me a message. I'll have to talk more.
Okay, I'm going to close this on Instagram first. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
Insta.
Instagram. Oh,
Right,
crap.
it's just us
And then
Facebook people
on
left, is it?
Facebook. Where are we? Let me stop streaming.
Bye, Facebook.
What do I do? How do I stop streaming? Okay, I'm going to stop recording this. I'm going to stop recording.